The stock market still in trouble, down 530 points, 535 right now. S&P's down 45. NASDAQ, I'm sure, is down 44 points. So we are still seeing Wall Street respond. Now, President Trump met with business leaders today. Business leaders walked out of the meeting saying they feel better about the meeting or after the meeting, but we are going to see what happens in the coming days. The president says there's a transition period. So the hard part for me is separating the politics, because I've been pretty vocal as a Trump supporter. I think I'm fair. I think I'm honest about my feelings. If things go sideways and he ends up being wrong, and everybody's wrong sometimes, I'm going to say it. I've said it in the past when I thought he was wrong. But I've seen his financial success, and the plan seems to be multi-pronged approach to the economy. One is, and this is where he defends tariffs, how will it play out in the long run? There's a difference between leveling tariffs for strategic reasons and a trade war. I don't know that anybody wins in a trade war. Canada is already ramping up their rhetoric and their tariffs. They are leveling a 25% tariff out of Ontario into the 4 or 5 American states, 1.5 million people in total that purchase electricity from Canada. The new prime minister says that not only are they leveling a 25% tariff, they will raise it if they need to, and he said at some point he'll shut off the power. So he is throwing down the gauntlet and is begging for a trade war. Now, I will tell you that you can't, if you're someone that likes the president, defending him all the time is not a good idea. And if you don't like him, criticizing him all the time is the wrong idea as well. Let's take a realistic look at this. If it's not good for America, it's not good for Canada. If it's not good for America, it's not good for Mexico. So those countries are also going to feel the heat, and they are going to feel the pressure, and they will feel price increases. If this gets down to a war of who can withstand the most, nobody wins. If it's a battle of who can not inflict the most pain, but who can endure the most pain, that to me is not a policy that's good for anyone. That's my feeling. In the president's defense, what he is saying is that tariffs level the playing field. If a nation levels a tariff against us, we will in turn level an equal tariff against them in that industry. And we're going to make the playing field level. He says America's been taken advantage of. He has secured $3 trillion in committed investment into the U.S. He would say, in large part, especially in the automobile industry, that it's because now automakers understand manufacturing their vehicles or significant parts of their vehicles, it is better for them to build them in America. Honda is making a major investment in Indiana. We know Stellantis is going to be doing more. This is his plan. He believes that we can pay for a lot of our debt with tariffs, so it's not taxing the American people. It's forcing these companies to pay these tariffs. Now, we understand it's going to get passed on to the consumer, but he believes that income to the government, we can cut taxes to the American people and we can raise tariffs. That's his belief. Whether it works or not, we'll find out. But I don't think it's an unreasonable approach. What I mean is I think there is a plan. You may not agree with it. This is the difference politically. The difference politically is he's out of his mind. He's crazy. And I don't believe that's true. You want to call him wrong? He may turn out to be wrong. And if he's wrong, he's wrong. This demonization of everybody we disagree with. I didn't agree with Joe Biden. I thought his economic plans were a disaster. I just do. I disagreed with him. I didn't think he's evil. I didn't think any of that. I didn't call him evil. I wasn't a fan of the Obama policies. I never called him evil. And this is for reasonable people. That's why I watch Wall Street. I watch some of the other indicators. Job numbers were good, not great. They were better than they were in February or in January, in the month of February. We're going to see what March numbers are like. Because here's what happens. In the very short window, when you see something like this happen, and everybody's doing it, myself included, we're all watching and we're all very, very concerned. And we're hearing the rhetoric of possible ramping up of things. But it's March. If in May, if we get through March and April is stable and starts to climb, if in May and June There's been this recovery, which we've watched many times in the stock market. We've seen significant drops and then a massive recovery. But if we also see a reduction in the deficit, if we see real cuts to government spending that carve into the national debt, if the Fed begins to see inflation dropping, if we see inflation drop down to that 2% range that we want it to be at, instead of it being at 2.6, 2.8, 2.9, if that corner begins to turn, if interest rates drop and people begin to buy and sell houses again, if it turns out that the president is right with a lot of this, this will be a distant memory. It seems like the most significant thing that's happening, and it is because it's happening now. If we are a month from now, 2 months from now, still talking about the same thing, I'm with you. There's got to be a changing of course. The people voted for this president over the other option. Vice President Harris, in my opinion, would have been a disastrous option when it comes to the very important issues. But I might be wrong as well. I don't subscribe to this all or nothing idea. I've been down this road so many times about what a disaster this is or what a disaster that is, and we're never going to get our country back. And there are celebrities that are moving, and people are going to other countries. And if you go on like the Drudge Report, or you go on and you look at the doom and gloom, and it's just not the case. America has still got the world's strongest economy. I'm worried about my 401k. I'm 57 years old. I've been packing money away as fast as I can for the last 5+ years because I got to make up for lost time. I've started over a couple of times. I'm not in the place that I want to be. You know what I mean? I'm not sitting on a mountain of cash that someday I'm going to ride off into the sunset and I know I'm going to be comfortable. I've got to make some real strong decisions. And so this for me is not a game either. But if you look at what the American economy has done, if you look at how the United States economy has ebbed and flowed, if we're willing to listen to what the president is saying, you may not agree. In the end, I may listen to what his plans are, and in a week or 2 weeks or a month say, this isn't working. It isn't working the way the president wanted. But if he gets the concessions he wants, if we are able to see more investment in America, if interest rates and inflation go down and interest rates go down, this is going to become a distant memory. And the time of the hand-wringing is not going to be nearly as significant as it is now, and that's what I hope happens.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.